Imagine walking through a jungle and realizing that the hills around you are not hills at all. They are temples, streets, palaces, the remains of a city that once held thousands of people, then disappeared beneath trees, ash, sand, or seawater. History is full of places that seem to vanish, but the word lost can be misleading. Local communities often knew these ruins existed long before outsiders arrived with notebooks and cameras. What changed was that the wider world finally understood what was there. Some of these cities were abandoned slowly, others were destroyed in a single day. One was buried by a volcano, while another sank beneath the Mediterranean and stayed hidden for more than 1,000 years. These are 7 lost cities that were found again. And the final discovery was so complete that archaeologists located temples, statues, ships, and streets beneath the sea. Number 7. Great Zimbabwe. In southeastern Africa, enormous stone walls rise from the landscape, without mortar holding them together. The largest enclosure contains a curving wall several meters thick and a mysterious stone tower. For centuries, outsiders refused to believe that local African builders had created it. Great Zimbabwe grew between roughly the 11th and 15th centuries. It became the center of a powerful Shona state, connected to long-distance trade. Archaeologists found gold, glass beads, Persian pottery, Chinese porcelain, and coins from the East African coast. This was not an isolated settlement. It was part of a network reaching across the Indian Ocean. At its height, more than 10,000 people may have lived around the stone complexes. The city controlled valuable cattle, farmland, and routes carrying gold toward coastal ports. Its name is often understood as Houses of Stone, and the modern country of Zimbabwe took its name from the ruins. The city declined around the 15th century, probably because its population and political system placed increasing pressure on the surrounding land. People moved elsewhere, but the site never vanished from local knowledge. The real disappearance happened in the stories outsiders told about it. European colonists invented explanations involving Phoenicians, Arabs, or the biblical Queen of Sheba. Evidence that the city had been built by ancestors of the Shona was ignored because it contradicted racist colonial beliefs. Great Zimbabwe was not merely found again. Its history had to be recovered from people determined to deny who built it. Number 6. Petra. Hidden between sandstone cliffs in southern Jordan is a city carved directly into rock. Its most famous facade, the Treasury, appears at the end of a narrow canyon, like a building from another world. But Petra was not simply a collection of tombs. It was the capital of a sophisticated desert kingdom. The Nabateans turned one of the driest landscapes on Earth into a wealthy trading center. They carved channels into cliffs, constructed dams, and stored seasonal rain inside enormous cisterns. Caravans carrying incense, spices, textiles, and precious goods passed through the city, connecting Arabia with the Mediterranean world. Petra later came under Roman control. Trade routes shifted, earthquakes damaged buildings and water systems, and the city gradually lost its importance. It was never completely unknown to the people living nearby, but for many Europeans it became a half-legendary place described in old texts. In 1812, Swiss traveler Johann Ludwig Burckhardt entered the region disguised as a Muslim pilgrim. He had heard stories of ruins near the traditional tomb of Aaron and persuaded a guide to take him there. He could not openly stop and measure everything without revealing his true purpose, but what he saw was enough. His reports brought Petra back into European attention. Later travelers arrived with drawings, maps, and cameras. Yet calling this a discovery hides an important truth. Bedouin communities already knew, used, and lived among the ruins. Petra was lost mainly to the outside world. Number 5. Tikal. Deep inside the rainforests of northern Guatemala, stone pyramids rise above the canopy. Their staircases are steep, their summits narrow, and their silhouettes look almost impossible among the trees. This is Tikal, one of the greatest cities of the ancient Maya. Tikal developed over many centuries and became a major political, military, and religious center. Its rulers built temples, palaces, plazas, reservoirs, ball courts, and monuments covered in inscriptions. At its height, the wider urban area supported tens of thousands of people. The city fought wars, formed alliances, and maintained connections with distant powers, including Teotihuacan in central Mexico. Its stone inscriptions record royal ceremonies and dynastic struggles in remarkable detail. Tikal was not a mysterious tribe living quietly in a forest. It was a powerful city-state competing for control of the Maya world. By around the 10th century, major construction stopped and much of the population left. The causes were complex: warfare, political instability, drought, and pressure on resources probably combined. Tropical vegetation slowly covered plazas and turned buildings into green mounds. Local people knew the ruins existed, and reports reached outsiders during the 19th century. Expeditions then began mapping the enormous site. Archaeologists uncovered temples that had been almost swallowed by the jungle, while modern scanning technology later revealed that the surrounding Maya landscape contained far more roads, platforms, and settlements than anyone had imagined. If you are enjoying the video, subscribe. It helps the channel more than you think, and there are 4 even stranger cities still ahead. Number 4. Angkor. In Cambodia, the towers of Angkor Wat rise above a vast landscape of temples, reservoirs, canals, roads, and abandoned neighborhoods. For generations, outsiders described it as a city lost in the jungle. In reality, Angkor Wat remained an active religious site, and local people never forgot it. Angkor was the heart of the Khmer Empire. Between the 9th and 15th centuries, rulers constructed monumental temples and one of the most impressive water management systems in the pre-modern world. Huge reservoirs and canals helped support an urban region spread across hundreds of square kilometers. The city included Angkor Wat, the faces of the Bayon, and countless structures once surrounded by wooden homes. Because ordinary buildings decayed, while stone temples survived, the ruins can make Angkor look like an empty ceremonial center. It was actually part of an enormous living city. Its decline was gradual. Political conflict, changing trade patterns, attacks, and failures in the water system all played roles. As royal power moved south, vegetation reclaimed many structures, although monks and local communities continued to use parts of the complex. 19th century explorers helped make Angkor famous in Europe, sometimes claiming they had discovered it. Modern archaeology tells a better story. Aerial surveys and laser scanning have mapped roads, fields, canals, and neighborhoods hidden beneath the forest. Angkor was not a single temple rescued from oblivion. It was an entire urban landscape whose true scale had been invisible. Number 3. Pompeii. On a summer day in the year 79, Mount Vesuvius erupted above the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Ash, pumice, and superheated clouds buried buildings, streets, animals, and people. A functioning city was transformed into a sealed archaeological time capsule. Pompeii did not disappear from every written record, but its exact location became confused over the centuries. Fields and settlements grew above the buried ruins. People occasionally uncovered walls and objects without realizing they stood over an entire Roman city. Excavations began in the 18th century, initially driven more by the search for art and treasure than careful archaeology. Workers tunneled through buildings, removed valuable objects, and sometimes damaged the evidence around them. In 1763, an inscription helped confirm that the buried city was Pompeii. What emerged was extraordinary. Shops, bakeries, baths, political advertisements, graffiti, mosaics, garden spaces, and homes belonging to rich and poor residents. Empty spaces in the hardened volcanic material were later filled with plaster, creating casts that preserved the final positions of victims and even animals. Pompeii changed how people imagined the ancient world. Rome was no longer only emperors, battles, and marble statues. Here were ordinary meals, dirty jokes, election slogans, locked doors, unfinished work, and streets worn down by carts. The volcano destroyed the city, but the material that killed it also preserved daily life in terrifying detail. Number 2. Machu Picchu. High in the Andes of Peru, stone terraces and buildings sit between steep green mountains. The location is so dramatic that Machu Picchu often appears to be a secret city, cut off from the world. But it was never truly unknown to local people. The Inca built Machu Picchu during the 15th century, probably as a royal estate connected to the emperor Pachacuti. Its builders shaped stone blocks with remarkable precision, created agricultural terraces, and designed drainage systems capable of surviving intense mountain rain. The site was abandoned during the upheaval that followed the Spanish conquest. Because the Spanish never built a colonial city directly over it, many structures survived. Vegetation covered much of the complex, while families in the region continued to know about the ruins and farm nearby terraces. In 1911, American historian Hiram Bingham arrived while searching for the last capital of the Inca. A local farmer directed him toward the mountain, and a young boy guided him to the ruins. Bingham did not discover an unknown place. He introduced it to an international audience and organized expeditions that cleared, photographed, and studied it. The distinction matters because the familiar discovery story often erases the people who preserved knowledge of the site. Machu Picchu became world famous not at the moment someone first saw it, but when institutions, newspapers, and museums decided that the wider world should pay attention. Number 1. Thonis-Heracleion. For centuries, ancient texts described a wealthy Egyptian port near the mouth of the Nile. Egyptians called it Thonis, Greeks called it Heracleion. It controlled access to Egypt, collected taxes from ships, and contained a major temple dedicated to the god Amun. Then the city disappeared. Earthquakes, rising water, unstable soil, and the immense weight of buildings probably caused sections of land to collapse and liquefy. By the 8th century, much of Thonis-Heracleion lay beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Some historians wondered whether Thonis and Heracleion were separate places, or whether the city had been exaggerated by ancient writers. There were no visible streets to excavate, and no ruined towers rising from the coastline. The evidence was underwater, hidden beneath sediment in Abu Qir Bay. In 2000, a team led by underwater archaeologist Franck Godiot located the city about 6.5 kilometers from the modern shore. Instruments detected shapes beneath the seabed. Divers descended into dark water and found walls, anchors, coins, inscriptions, shipwrecks, and colossal statues lying where a city had once stood. One discovery helped settle the mystery of its identity. Inscriptions showed that Thonis, Heracleion were two names for the same city. Archaeologists mapped temple areas, harbor basins, and channels. Dozens of ancient ships were discovered around the site, revealing how busy the port had once been. The images are almost unreal. A diver floats beside the face of a statue buried for centuries. Stone gods are raised from the mud. Objects used in ceremonies emerge from a city that did not simply collapse into ruins. It vanished beneath an entire sea. These 7 cities were never lost in exactly the same way. Pompeii was buried. Tikal and Angkor were reclaimed by vegetation. Petra and Machu Picchu remained known locally, while outsiders forgot them. Great Zimbabwe's true builders were deliberately denied. Thonis-Heracleion physically disappeared underwater. Finding them again was not one dramatic moment with an explorer holding a torch. It was a process involving local knowledge, old records, archaeology, new technology, and sometimes the correction of stories that gave the wrong people credit. The most unbelievable part is that these places were not small settlements. They were capitals, ports, religious centers, and homes to thousands of people. Entire worlds can fade from ordinary view, while their streets remain under our feet, beneath forests, or at the bottom of the sea. Which lost city would you want to explore for one day? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more strange history, bizarre science, mysteries, psychology, and unbelievable true stories.